What's going on, everybody? Today's question comes from Matt Will M. He's basically asking about something that I think everyone could relate to, especially the people that watch this channel. It seems like a lot of you guys are into working out and play an instrument as well. I mean, that's a pretty broad generalization. I'm sure a lot of people at this point in society work out and like to play piano or guitar or drums or whatever it is. But I wouldn't be surprised if someday they find that those two things are very irritating to the nerve, because it seems like a lot of us do that and wind up here. So anyway, he's uh, been suffering, with ulnar issues for a while. It's messed up his workouts, he says. He's got a better understanding of it now. No thanks to the doctors, as doctors have never been a help. That's step one: find a good doctor that knows what they're talking about. And then, as I always say, do your research online and educate yourselves, because no one's going to care about your health as much as you do. So you got to take it upon yourselves to try to figure out what's going on, because you're living in it every day. So if you do that, you find a decent doctor, you can get somewhere. But basically, he's asking about his workouts. He tries to keep his arms straight with a lot of stuff, which obviously is a little difficult to do. But he wanted to know if I still felt tingling even with the 90-degree rule. And for those of you who don't know, what that is I noticed that, and I read this as well, when your arm goes past 90 degrees, that tends to be the point at which you have more issues with subluxation. And this kind of goes for the people that have subluxation of the nerve, not so much relevant for people that just have compression. It's not as much an issue. But, for example, when I was doing a bicep curl, I would just kind of start with my arm straight and then I curl up, and you can kind of stop right here and just squeeze and get a good contraction. Yeah, you get a better contraction if you come up here, but you can still get, a pretty good feel if you come up there, and then you're not irritating your nerve as much. Same thing with tricep press downs. You can just start here and just kind of press down. I mean, your peak contraction on triceps is right at the bottom there, so that's going to work better anyway. And then, other things like if you were benching, it'd probably be better to do like a decline bench where you kind of are just coming down to here because of the positioning, and then going back up, because if you see that, my arms, they're about at 90 degrees. They're not much further. So things like that, finding exercises that irritate at the least, that can help you if you're trying to treat it conservatively, if you're feeling it out to see if it's going to go away or not. And then obviously, if that's, within the conservative realm, like, for Matt here, I don't know if you sleep with the night splints on, but you definitely should sleep with something that keeps your arms straight, because if your arms are getting irritated from bending them like that, then clearly you need to keep them straight. And it's all those things throughout the day too. Remember, it's not just like, oh, I worked out and it irritated my nerve. It's the eating, the drinking, the mousing, the typing, the everything, you're combing your hair, everything you're doing during the day where your arms are bending and moving contributes to that. So you have to be aware of those things as well. And, he's ends his question asking, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? So to answer your question, yeah, at 90 degrees, I still had irritation as well, because your nerve doesn't have to pop completely over the bone. It could just ride up, a little bit, and that still can be considered subluxation. It could still cause irritation. So all the 90-degree thing is just trying to minimize the instances where it completely pops over and back and forth, because obviously that's going to cause more irritation than it just kind of moving a little bit out of the groove. So these are just kind of ways. It all falls under the conservative treatment umbrella to minimize the irritation to your nerve. And he mentions he's a musician. He plays the keyboards. I would imagine that having your arm probably at a 90-degree angle when you're sitting there and doing this is going to irritate your nerve like nobody's business. How do I know that? Because it's pretty similar to typing. When I'm sitting here typing, and before I had my surgery done, I had a lot of irritation from that, so much that I stopped typing altogether, and I would just use the Dragon headset, and I used a special mouse that allowed me to keep my arm straight and in my lap, because even having it on the desk and moving my arm around for whatever reason would irritate my nerve. I can't explain it, but it just did. Lastly, he asks, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? He's kind of saying, what do I do? And that's very subjective. What I always say is don't let it go so long that it becomes really bad and then it takes longer to recover from. But obviously you don't want to just jump into going and having something done surgically. I'll give you a good example. I waited 6 years to get mine done on my right. I haven't had it done on my left yet. I'm still kind of working around it with my left. But with the right, I say 6 years. Don't think it was pissed off the whole time. It wasn't, screaming at me for 6 years straight. There were periods where it would get better, and so I would let it go. And then there were periods where it would start getting worse. The point that, personally, that I said enough is enough is when I just couldn't work anymore, because it was just too painful to type and mouse, and working on Dragon becomes a pain in the butt. And I was consulting at the time where I could do it from home, but I actually had to start going into an office, and it was, you're talking on through this mic, and it's picking up what other people are saying. It's just not the most ideal thing. It's just becoming such a hindrance. I couldn't really drive without irritating my arm, so I finally was like, okay, I gotta get this taken care of, And again, finding a good doctor that you feel comfortable with is the key especially when it gets to that point. But even earlier on, to just kind of give you some guidance, and they can be sort of the watchful eye that says, okay, you've been dealing with this long enough, you need to get it taken care of. Because sometimes, what I think has been irritating me for a while, somebody else might not think has been irritating them for a while. Maybe they have a higher threshold for irritation and pain. So, sorry I don't really have a good answer for you, Matt, but I would say that, if it's not so bad, keep doing what you're doing. Be mindful of the things that irritate it. And if you've been dealing with this for a number of years and it's starting to interfere with everyday things in your life that you like to do, go find a good surgeon and get it taken care of. I don't have really hardly any. 99% of the time, my right arm feels great now. And of course, I'm trying to treat my left one conservatively and avoid doing it, because who wants to have surgery if they don't have to? But if it gets to the point where it's starting to become a hindrance again, like because I type now, but if this starts getting crazy again, I will absolutely get surgery on this one, no doubt, because I'll tell you what, 4 months after the surgery, as far as pain and numbness go, I felt great right afterwards. But 4 months after, I was working out and doing everything like normal, completely normal, strength back, all that stuff back. So it's not like, and it goes by like that. Think about how long you've been suffering with this as opposed to just getting it fixed. So I hope that helps, and I hope that gives some insight into some of the other people out there that are going through similar things with the, working out and playing an instrument and all this stuff. So I know that was long-winded, but I hope that helps you, Matt. Okay? Take care. Aloha.